Hello everyone and welcome back to more AEW on TEW 2020. We are here, June 2022, week 3. If I sound a little bit weird, if my writing feels a little bit off, I legitimately have not touched TEW in about 2.5 months. So, yeah. I did go over the past few videos. Just to make sure I got my storylines in check, and I think I kind of got a decent enough idea, but let's just keep things rolling. We start off with Dark as Abaddon defeats the Bunny. The Lexing Brothers defeat the Gun Club. Bronson Steiner defeats Brock Anderson. Jordan Grace then defeats Cynthia Regal. And afterwards, Jordan Grace is doing a very subdued celebration, kind of just doing her, do some flexing in the corners. When Thunder Rosa's music cuts her off, she has a mic in hand, and she says that Jordan calling herself the Amazing Grace is kind of a stretch. Because not only is Thunder Rosa more amazing even without the LWO endorsement, which she has, which helps, but even in the ring, she's more graceful. On the mic, she's more graceful. So, both parts of Jordan Grace's nickname are completely incorrect. Jordan's just a castaway from the Nightmare Family. She got kicked out because, well, she was one of the reasons for its downfall. It got completely rebranded, and Jordan Grace got left behind in that. Anna Jay then defeats Leva Bates. Jonathan Gresham defeats Nat Murphy. Then Chris Statlander's music begins to play, and she's ready for the next match to begin, but Chris herself does not appear after a few seconds. Camera cuts to backstage. Killer Kelly, she is just beating the absolute shit out of Chris Statlander with her chain. She's making sure that the camera is catching how much damage is being dealt to Chris Statlander. She continues her assault. Eventually, by the time she's finished, she takes the camera from whoever is holding it before and, gets up close, crouch down, zoom in on that face, make sure you can see how much pain Chris Statlander is. And Killer Kelly just telling her, hey, even aliens can bleed. Look at that. It's the storyline's name. Actually, just give me a moment. I'm going to have a quick cut because I think I forgot to rearrange some things. I did forget to rearrange those things. I had made the main event not last. Then I forgot to move what wasn't the main event ahead. DK8, Daniel Katana and Shalata defeats Cheerleader Melissa and Yuka Sakazaki. Lavender Sky defeats Nancy Bouchard with her shooting star press. Then Jurassic Express defeat Jeff Cobb and Brian Cage. Yeah, Jungle Boy way ahead of everyone else. And after the match, Andrew Everett comes out. He makes fun of Brian Cage for being pinned by a tiny guy like Jungle Boy. And as Jurassic Express leave, they're just like, alright, this is not going to go well. Everett enters the ring. He's making fun of Brian Cage. He's making fun of Jeff Cobb. He's even making fun of Taz on the commentary. But then Jeff Cobb is like, you know what? I'm not going to put up with this bullshit of this weird tiny guy pretending he's a giant. Knocks him over, almost like a pounce. Picks him up, tour of the islands. Andrew Everett, middle of the ring. He's just lying down as Dark ends. 63 rated show. Not bad for, again, a first time booking in 2.5 months. But that'll be fine. Cut back to when we have Dynamite. Our show of Dynamite begins with a title match as Brody Lee defeats Yuji Nagata. Those Discus Lariat, they have great chemistry. How wonderful. And Brody, of course, wins the IWGP US title. He stands tall over Yuji Nagata after he is given the belt. He looks more and more disheveled. He's been progressively looking less and less like the well-put-together Exalted One that we've known for so long. And he's starting to look more like his old trucker form. Obviously, he's not going full trucker with this. He's not going to go all out with this massive change. But he is starting to look more crazed. After a few moments of catching his breath, he demands a mic, which, of course, he gets. The refs are terrified, and also he's the champion. He says, "Listen up, everyone. I don't care who you are. AEW, New Japan, anyone in the damn world. I am Brody Lee. I was once the exalted one of the Dark Order, but now I will be exalted above all as the greatest champion. I'm an exalted champion of the world. My Dark Order crumbled beneath my feet, but I just use them as stepping stones so I can rise to the top as this exalted champion, this IWGP US title. Any challengers, bring it on and beware, because I am not going to give in." Brody going a little bit mad with power. He's been falling downhill since, quite frankly, I just didn't really like the Dark Order too much as a faction. I wasn't really sure what their whole thing was supposed to be. Now, Brody kind of using... And also, I just needed to get rid of some factions because I have a lot of factions. So trying to cut down on numbers a little bit would help. So Brody now taking some advantage, moving ahead, using the destruction of the Dark Order to his advantage. After this, Miro is seen in a church. He's been seen here last week, I believe. There's some dramatic cinematography. And he says, "My journey has been long. My journey's been hard and it's been lonely. 2 years ago, August 2020, I made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. And I've continued to work hard to make up for this mistake. But here's the thing. MJF has made more mistakes than I have. And yet he keeps living. He must learn the pain. He needs to learn how to redeem himself, how to go back to the light. I'm someone that has long walked by myself on this long and arduous journey in AEW, but I'm not going to let my lonely path be one that leads me to more evil. I'm someone who may only know how to hurt, but if I only know how to hurt, I will use that for good. I will become a villain to villains if I must, in order to redeem myself." So, Miro really just going all out. He's potentially, not necessarily, I guess it's sort of an anti-hero. Sort of. Not fully anti-hero, but whatever. But of course, that's not it, because a light soon shines on him as the door opens behind him in the church, and a voice says that he won't be alone on this path. Miro and the camera then turn to see CJ Perry debut. Here on CJ Hug, before CJ says that Miro will ensure that MJF faces the heat and will learn to redeem himself. CJ Perry, of course, formerly known as Lana. Just before anyone says anything, CJ is not going to wrestle. Definitely not. She is not good in the ring. She is in just to help Miro out. Yes, Miro doesn't really need help with the mic, but I think it does help him from a storyline standpoint to have someone like CJ Perry in. And also she is, like, weirdly popular. I'm pretty sure she has, like, mid-70s pop in all of America. She is insanely popular, and I don't understand why, but, I mean, sure. Helps Miro out, so I'll take it. After this, the Private Party defeats Sonny Kiss and Peter Avalon. And then after that, the Acclaimed come out and they perform a rap on the Private Party. Of course, I am not going to bother with making one myself. I cannot even do anything of the sort. So I'm not going to try. And they're probably mostly talking about how they used to be one of the best up-and-coming teams, but now they're irrelevant and they're being used to take on Sonny Kiss and Peter Avalon. You know, true stars of the industry. And the Godfather, he eventually gets a mic. He has some witty retort to the rap, probably something along the lines of how the Acclaimed are never going to get any hoes of their own while the Private Party are swimming in hoes. Something like that. I don't know. This is definitely one that would benefit from actually having these people there instead of just me telling a story, but you get the idea. After this, Big Swole and Antonio Banks are then seen sitting in an office room. They're both well-dressed. That's kind of the Bankrolls MO, how they have these really nice suits, well tailored. They look very well. And Antonio Banks, he first talks and he says, Big Swole here, one of the best young female talents in this company, maybe even in all of pro wrestling. And Kana, well, you're a bona fide wrestling Hall of Famer no matter where you go. Hall of Immortals, maybe. But to say that I'm honored that you would take notice at my clients, take notice of Big Swole, that's a bit of an understatement. And then Big Swole herself begins to talk, I'm imagining that she's kind of leaning back. She eventually does a little bit of a lean forward, and she says, here's the thing, Empress. I'm not going to be okay with just sitting back and letting your fame rub off on me. I'm not just going to sit here, let you mentor me, let all of this good grace that you have just kind of seep onto me. I'm going to steal that fame from you. I'm going to beat you left, right, center, anywhere, anytime. I don't care if it's an upset for me to beat you. I do plan to take you down, Kana. So, Big Swole versus Kana. I think this is something that'll help out Big Swole a lot. I definitely need to push non-ex-WWE people. I am a fairly casual fan. So I do mostly know WWE people. So, trying to push people aside from that. After this, we get our second ever time limit draw, as Joe and Vikingo, draw in 20 minutes. After this, they're both exhausted after that, because again, they have been wrestling for 20 minutes. And, probably, it's a very close matchup between it. Joe offers a handshake to Vikingo after the match, but before Vikingo can accept it, a very fresh Donovan Dijak of Brutality Inc. rushes in. He takes out both Joe and Vikingo. He's kind of standing over there. He's lording over them. He's really soaking in all the boos because this was a very well-fought match. There's a lot of respect shown. Samoa Joe, very respected legend of the business. Vikingo, very respected young competitor. Very good future star. And Dijak just reigns on the parade. And eventually, a bunch of backstage staff come out, and they're trying to escort Dijak out by force, but Dijak's having none of it. He just walks by. He's taking out anyone who tries to stop him eventually. It doesn't take long for people to realize, okay, let's not mess with Dijak. He's leaving on his own terms. And so he does. After this, the Future are seen at a charity event in the background, while Hearst talks in the foreground, and he says, the Briscoe brothers. We all know that they're great in the ring. Some of the best indie wrestlers that the world has ever seen, but here's the thing, and maybe in order to get this through your thick redneck skulls, I need to talk a bit in your language. Y'all ain't good uns. I get it. Rednecks like you might not like looking to the world of social media. You're not so engrossed within it as us younger generation are. And you have your farm or your ranch or whatever it is, so you have more things to be concerned about. But here's the thing, it's a new day and age, and we're young here. We know that social media is a major part of life, and you have to pay attention to it. You have to use it to your benefit, or let it be to your detriment, and would you look at that? I've been looking at social media lately, and people aren't so happy that AEW is letting controversial folks like yourself hold gold. But here's the thing, Leo and Donnie back here, they're good people. Look at them, helping out the homeless. And look at them, not even causing controversies by being hateful. So here's the thing, Briscoe brother. I get it. I respect how good of wrestlers you are. I respect your place in pro wrestling history. But your time is up. You're not... Sure, you might not have the age to say that you no longer can go in the ring, but you're still outdated. So do this company a favor and why don't you get going, Briscoe brothers? Because the future is here, and it's here to stay. And there we go. After this, Jacob Fatu gets a bit of an upset win, defeating Sammy Guevara. And Devitt and Jericho were both at ringside for this, watching their people on. Garza then comes out to the ring as Devitt and Jericho, they're bickering back and forth. They're not getting physical, they're just kind of yelling at each other. And Garza starts speaking and says, "See, Sammy, this is why I wanted you to pay attention to the titles. Now, since you've lost here to Fatu, there's arguments that you don't even deserve a chance at my title. But I can't just let you get away with that. So, how about I do you a little bit of a favor? I'll talk to Mr. Heyman, and remember, I have all the cards in this, because I'll see about you getting that title match on my terms, my stipulations. Consider it punishment for not listening to a champion, for not listening to someone as important, as attractive, as much of a god as myself. But of course, that's something that I can't do right now. I wasn't expecting you to lose in this tune-up match against Jacob Fatu. Oh, and before I forget, Chris and Fergie. I'm not gonna say Fergal. Well, how about you two do us a favor and try not to break a hip while fighting? So Garza just being an asshole. Everyone involved in this is a heel, I think. So, yeah. After this, we see another scene on Kairi Hojo's yacht. We saw this 2 weeks ago. And she's trying her best to wrangle Maki Ito, even as Maki throws someone overboard. We don't know what about. It's just Maki being Maki. Kairi struggling and eventually says that if Maki doesn't behave, then she will she'll make Maki walk the plank. And Maki, she listens. For now. And in our main event, that's actually a little bit disappointing. Adam Page and Darby Allin, the champion and the #1 contender, defeat Charles Betts and Zack Sabre Jr. of Team Angle. 81 rating. Sting at ringside for both. He wants to see how well these two do. And I'd say he got a pretty decent showing out of both of them. 79 rating, not bad, again, for spending 2.5 months not booking. I was about to say I should hopefully get to doing that more, but also I am almost certain I said that after Double or Nothing too. So, yeah, take that with a grain of salt. But next time we will be having our next show of Rampage.